Hey class, so like last time, I'll be doing critiques, groups of 4. There might be some groups that will have 5, depending on how many we can group in each section. Just as a disclaimer, I do have a bit of allergies, so if you hear any sniffling or anything kind of noise in the background, that's why. So please excuse that my voice might be a little bit different. I'll do my best. So let's start with Roberto's work. So this looks like his denotative and connotative. So Roberto, I think you're doing well. I think what we would want to see is lemonade kind of on its own at the top, and then let's kind of bring this a little bit more to the top and shrink down some of your paragraphs and put them underneath lemonade, and then we can read the rest of your instructions. Alright, because right now we don't really know where to look. We see lemonade, but do we go, just try to organize it a little bit more. I like what you're doing here by breaking this up, but I do feel like it needs to be on the top, and then the rest of the information can go smaller and can go on the bottom. And you can have this type all be the same size. It does not each have to be a different size. Alright? For your denotative, trying to see, is this the same amount of information you have? Because it kind of looks less for some reason. If it's less, let's try to include as the same amount of information we have here that we have here. Alright? It's interesting that you have kept this wave. I like those little areas right here, but I'd like for this type to be a little bit more straightforward. It's kind of going a little too much in the wave-like direction, like you have the script in some areas with the F, and then you have the italic. I would say simplify your type a little bit more, and we do need to have some kind of grid to kind of unify your layout. Alright? So, and you've got some areas of white space here that are kind of awkward. So we want to make sure that we identify those in a way that makes sense. And lemonade can actually go a little smaller too. You don't have to go this big. But let's try to include as much information we have here on this connotative version. Okay? Let's go to Terrence's work. Terrence, much better. This looks great. This is what I'm looking for. Alright, so this is for your denotative. I like how you have set it up as almost like a sandwich itself, so we kind of have the bun here, or the slice of bread on top, and then you have your ingredients, and then you have your bottom slice. I like that setup a lot, and I think it works well with your concept. Just careful over here, you're getting a little too close to the type. Same right here and right here. And try to unify this. This is not centered. Yeah, so if you want to stay centered, I would say center it all. Because right now build is going more this way, setup is more, this kind of seems off to me. So I would say shrink this a tiny bit, stuff, setup, build. And allow for more space in between those areas, like so that you don't have this weird tangent happening between your titles like this and your smaller pieces of information. But I think overall, good job. This looks nice. I like how you've created a larger scale for some type treatments and some smaller and some medium-sized ones. So this is a nice variety to look at. All right, so let's just work on this area right here. And I would get rid of this little white thing because it's just, bothersome. The eye, same thing, either go down a little bit or get rid of it. But enough so that we can see a half circle. Okay? Let's take a look at your connotative. This is nice. I like how we're playing around with the breaking up of the words by experimenting with the different areas where the letters can be placed. I like what you're doing here. I'm not so sure I agree with you starting to distort or rotate the type like so. It's kind of like cheese is falling off. But make sure when you do this that it reads. So I know it's grilled cheese because of your denotative, but really try to make sure that we still maintain readability. So just work on that a little tiny more. Just make sure that it reads properly. And I like that you're using areas of your letter forms as grids to reinforce other areas of your pieces of information. So that definitely works. This diagonal and this straight paragraph right here kind of makes it a little bit awkward, especially with the white space here. You're seeing some weird shape. I do like what you're doing here with the diagonal. So in this case, it does make sense to kind of rotate your type and maintain that overall consistency. But overall, this looks great. I like how you've used big type. You've kept it black and white, and you've used a variety of different sizes. And you kept to a classical font, which is perfectly fine. And I actually would enjoy more classical fonts just because I feel like they read properly. And then again, this is a recipe. We still have to read this. So good job, Terrence, on this. Fernando. So this looks like your denotative and your connotative. Let's take a look at your denotative. So it looks like it's been simplified, which is good. Just careful with how close it is getting to the ingredients list overall. I like that we're starting to look at the alignment here to the left. Maybe there's something about your title that can also align either here or it can align here, but putting it in the middle when it's the only thing that is centered just feels a little bit off to me. So try to see if you can experiment with all this white space you have here. I mean, you have quite a bit of white space, so use that to your advantage. I like the big scripty letter forms. I think it works well with your concept, the machelada. So keep that. All right. So just focus a little bit more on your title treatment here. Now let's go to your connotative. I know that you have simplified this, and it does look better. Just careful with how close you're getting to this area right here, okay? Now, you're starting to get some awkward white space in this area. See if there's something about the ingredients list here that you can maybe fill in this area. Not everything has to be on a curve. Everything can have a certain kind of structure to it, but you can have certain areas that have a connotative feel, kind of like what you have with directions. So try to see if there's something about your ingredients list can live in this white space here. And then famous Mexican drink. I think we can do something else with this because this looks like a title, but I know it isn't. This is your pull quote. Maybe you can take all this stuff right here, like this whole area, bring it up, and maybe it could be more on the bottom or in the middle. But right now it reads as a title, and we know that michelada is your title. So let's try to focus on that. So I guarantee you when you take that off the top, we get to see a little bit more white space. Move everything more to the top, this area right here, this whole chunk, and see if you can experiment with this some other place. And to be honest with you, I don't think this is the right font to use because this is the only area that you use this font. Everything else looks like it's pretty similar except for this one, so it kind of stands out like a sore thumb. See if we can start to unify your pull quote with maybe the bolder font. Okay? Let's move on to Jacqueline's work. So she did strawberry shortcake. I think this is your denotative and this is your connotative. Yep. I like it. I think it looks really fun and it's definitely inviting. I would like to see a little bit more white space on some of the edges. So what I'm seeing here is there's quite a bit of white space here and some areas like so. And a lot of your borders are pretty much taken. So what I would like to do is maybe bring some of those areas, like those paragraphs with your instructions, move it up so it's a little bit closer to this pull quote, and this one as well, move it up a little bit more so we have a little bit more containment right here. And then that will allow for more white space maybe towards the top and the bottom. right? So everything is just in every spot right here. It takes up all the borders. So I say shrink this down a little bit, just add a little bit more white space, okay? Don't be afraid of white space. I think it's nice when we see a little bit of airiness in our layouts. That way it just gives us a little bit more room to breathe. And it's easier to read. But I think overall I like the structure of where this is going. You have 2 columns and you have your colors going on, and you have a specific type treatment for your paragraphs, your ingredients, nutritional facts, and your pull quotes have a completely different kind of type treatment. So that's good. I like that kind of consistency going on. I think it works nicely. And I think you can kind of kern in a little bit tightly with shortcake and strawberry. I know you did it to fill up the space, but again, let's see what it looks like with less space around once we get rid of those little areas right here and contain this a little bit more. So strawberry shortcake. This reads much better. I think this is so much easier to read. I know you're still trying to stack it up like maybe some kind of whipped cream topping or something. It's still a little hard to read, unfortunately, but there's a way to do this, but with the readability not being an issue. Maybe strawberry has to stay with the TRA. Okay, maybe the straw and berry can be something that we work with. So it says strawberry shortcake. Remember, it still has to read properly. All right. And then I like that you're still doing the same thing with the colors here. Again, I would just move this up a little bit more, create a little bit of breathing room for the top and the bottom. And I think maybe align some of those to certain areas of your diagonal grid right here. This is still kind of looking a little bit off for me, and I think maybe it needs to be more of a circle. It needs to be a little bit smaller. I think your angle now is a little too wide, all right? But I think overall, great job. I like your use of color and how you've unified that nicely with the rest of your layouts for both. So I think just small hints here and there, small adjustments, and you'll be set. Okay, so that brings me to the end of group 1. I'll see you in the next video for group 2.